Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video I want to introduce you guys to an alternate sticky notes app for Windows. So it's called Stickies. You can find it on this website, zornsoftware.co.uk. I'll put a link in the description. So the basic concept of Stickies is that you have a digital sticky note or something that you would in a sense tape to your screen so that you can have reminders later, or in my case, creating a list for a video. And the Stickies app gives you additional features that you may not find in other similar software. So when you boot up Stickies, you may notice that you don't actually see it on the main taskbar. So whenever you need to interact with the menus for Stickies, you actually go to the notification area. So that's in the bottom right where you hit this Show Hidden Icons button. And then you can find Stickies over here as long as the app is open. So when you right click on the menu, you have the ability to do things like create a new note or manage the settings for Stickies. So let's go ahead and create a new note here so that we can start talking about some of the features you find in Stickies. So when I boot up this new sticky note, the first thing you'll probably notice is that the theme is different than what I have set down here. So here we have our new sticky note, which we can position anywhere on the screen where we want it to be. But one of the immediate things you're going to want to know, and I'll demonstrate this by moving another window over it, is how do you make it stick on top of other windows on your screen? So often with a sticky note, you want it to always be showing on top. So you can toggle that on pretty easily with Ctrl T as a hotkey. So if I click on this sticky note and I hit Ctrl T, so if we look over here on the top left of the sticky note now, we can actually hover over this and you can see toggle on top is a button that we can now press on. So whenever toggle on top is set on, where you do see the gray box, that means that it is going to show on top of all other windows, which is very handy when you need those notes to stay on top. But if you don't want a note to stay on top, you can just hit Ctrl T, or once again, you can left click on the toggle on top button and turn it off. So one of the other first things you're going to notice is that the new sticky note we created has a different theme than the sticky note I have in the middle of the screen with my list for this video. So we have a custom background color set here and also a custom font color. You can also change the font style. You can also change the font size and font style for your notes inside of the Stickies app. So how you can customize it is to right click on the top of one of your sticky note windows and then go down to set color for the background color. So we can change this to any color we want to select here. So if we want something like a red, we can go over here, move it up or down on the black to white scale, and then hit pick, and now we have a new background color. So if you want to change the text that you've typed down below, you need to select the text, right click, go down to something like font, and then you can choose which font you want or the font color. So I can change it to white here if I desire, or other colors like red, green, and blue. So let's go ahead and create a new note to demonstrate something else, which is saving and loading styles. So I'll go to the bottom right notification area. I'm going to right click on Stickies and choose to create a new sticky note. And we'll see that once again, we have this yellow background and black text. So what if we wanted to permanently have this pink background and white text as an option that we could use for any sticky notes very quickly? So we can save a style. The way we do that is we can right click on one of these sticky note windows, go down here to save as style, and let's try saving it to style 2. So what that's going to do is save the background color and the font color selection, as well as any other settings we decided to change, to a style which we can easily switch to. So if we right click on this new sticky note, we can set the style to one that we've previously set. So if we go to set style to, we can change it to that same white text with the pinkish red background. Also, you may notice there are also hotkeys for these. So if you know which style you're switching to, you could just hit Alt 1 or Alt 2 on the keyboard. So Alt 0 to switch back to the default, Alt 2 to switch to the second new style. So that's a pretty good way to theme your Stickies and make them look more like how you prefer. So one of the most important things for someone like me when I would be using sticky notes would be how do you make a list, like a bulleted or a numbered list. So it's pretty easy here. Let's start typing in a few lines. So tutorial line 1, and I don't know, something about cake. A really useful piece of information. And now we can take these 3 separate lines and switch them into a list. So I'm going to select all of this text and we can right click, go down to paragraph, and you can choose bulleted lists, numbered lists, or lettered lists. So let's just show all of those bulleted lists with a little dot. If we change it to numbered, then we get the 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, with lettered, it's going to be A, B, C instead. Now, as far as I can tell, you can't automatically do nested lists where you hit enter to create a new line and then hit tab to switch over to a different format, like starting with lettering on the outer layer and then you tab in and you have Roman numerals or something like that. So another option I might use if you need to split your lists into different sections would be to have headers. So I could just type something in here like header 1, and then I can select the text and possibly bold it, Ctrl B to bold. And I think that would do it for me. So if I had a few different sections, I could have header 1 and then header 2 down here with a separate list. And I think that would be good for most basic sticky notes. So another feature of Stickies is stacks. So if you get a bunch of sticky notes on your screen, it may become a little bit overwhelming to have them all showing at the same time. So what you can do is you can collapse multiple sticky notes down into a stack. So basically you have 4 or 5 sticky notes in one stack, and you can show or hide them all at the same time. So to create a stack, I'm going to right click on one of the header bars for these sticky notes, go down to stack, and I'll choose new stack. So when we do that, we get this little blue window over in the center of the screen. And if I double click on it, any sticky notes that are from that stack are going to show or hide. We can also see what stack they're in listed down here below. Of course, there's no name for it here, so we might want to right click on the stack, rename it, and call it, I don't know, stack 1. And then you can see which stack it belongs to because it has a name now. So if we wanted to add this one to the same stack, I can right click, go down to stack, stack 1. And now these sticky notes can be hidden and shown at the same time just by double clicking on it. So that can be pretty handy. You can also stretch the boundaries of your stack if you need it to take up even less space. So you can have all of these sticky notes still on the screen, but at the same time hidden from view. So with Stickies, you can also set alarms for sticky notes. So in a sense, turning a note into something more like a reminder. So if we right click on a sticky note, there's this alarm option here. You can also Ctrl Shift A as a hotkey on your keyboard. And then when we go there, we need to set a timer for the alarms. So we can have it remind in 1 day by default or at a specific time. So if I set the time here, I could just change it to something like 2 p.m. exact, so about 53 minutes from now. Or you can also change the dropdown from day to something more like hours or minutes if you want it to be in a very short period of time, like 15 minutes. If you check sleep until alarm, then it's going to hide from view until the alarm goes off. So like this, we go ahead and hit set, and the note is going to be hidden and it'll pop up again in 15 minutes. So imagine that you had a really big sticky note like this, and it's just taking up way too much space on the screen, but you don't want to separate it into other sticky notes. What you can do is add a scroll bar to these notes. So I'm going to right click and go down to scroll bar and left click it. Now what we can do is stretch the sticky note to shorten its size on the screen, but we can still use the middle mouse wheel to scroll up and down on the note to see all of the information. Of course, we can also stretch it all the way back out again if we so desire. And if you want to get rid of the scroll bar, you can just right click and toggle scroll bar off. So now it's just going to be showing the full size of the note again. So if I hit enter, it just increases the size of the note. So snapping is another pretty cool feature of Stickies. If I drag one of these sticky notes close to another, you'll notice that as I approach them, it's going to snap nicely between the sticky notes. That also applies to the stacks. So in a sense, you can build a nice grid on your screen and keep it relatively organized. So something to note about that is you can actually customize these snapping settings if you want it to be a little closer together, or if you want things to snap at a closer or farther distance to each other. The pixels, it has to be away before it does the snapping. So if we go down to the notification area in the bottom right hand corner and then right click on the Stickies app and go into settings, you'll find the snapping settings under desktop. So as long as snap notes together when moving and sizing is enabled, you'll have the snapping function, and you can increase or decrease the snap gap, which is the space between the items once they snap, or the snap distance, how many pixels it has to be away before it does the snap, if you need to adjust those settings. Another pretty interesting aspect of Stickies is that it can work with images. So one way you can get an image into a sticky note is to use a screen grab on your computer. So you hit Alt W, and now you can basically drag a box anywhere on your screen to copy that portion of the screen into a note, which you can use for reference later. So I'm going to just grab a random section of this desktop here. And as soon as we do that, we have a sticky note, same snapping function that exists as before. But with these image-based sticky notes, if I was to right-click on the image, you can see that we have a bunch of other new options for tools that we can use on the sticky note. So you can draw stuff like a line or an arrow or text onto the image in order to make the sticky note of the image make a little bit more sense. So let's go ahead and use the pen here. And I'm going to right click. I'm also going to change the color of the pen since it's so dark in the background there that black color is not going to work here. So let's make it something brighter, like a light green. Now I can hover over our image and draw whatever I need to here. So let's just write in some random text. So I got a hi there. So we can also do a line where we left click on our starting point and then we just drag it to where we need the line to end and let go. And we get a perfect line between those 2 points. An arrow may be more useful if you're pointing to something specific, like this tree trunk right here. And we can use the text tool to type in some text. So this is my desktop background. Okay, and then we just need to left click to place it where we want it. So just like that, we've taken a screen capture of our desktop or any other window. We've written some things onto the note, and now we can just have it sitting there like any other stickies. If we wanted to, we could add it to the stack as well. So I'm going to right click and add it to stack 1. So we can double click that to remove and show all of our stickies that are in that stack. Okay, now there's one more thing I really want to point out for you guys before we wrap up the videos, which is once you close a sticky, where does it go and how can you bring it back? You do get a warning before you close the note, but if I go ahead and hit yes, you might think it's gone completely, but that's actually not the case. So if we right click on any existing sticky, we can go to properties here, which is going to open up the manage notes. So in Manage Notes, there is a category down here for closed sticky notes. So you can sort by the title if those sticky notes do have a title, and we didn't set a title on any other sticky notes yet. So instead, I'm going to choose Date Closed. So let's go, and I actually want most recent on top. So there we have our most recently closed sticky. So to bring this back, I can right click on it and hit Restore. And now we have it added back onto our screen. Now note that it's no longer in stack 1. So if we want to add that back in, you're going to have to right click on it and add it to stack 1. So I mentioned titles for your sticky notes. You can see that this one I've had since the beginning of this tutorial has a title. So if you want to set a title, just really simply right click on a sticky note and then go to set title and type in a title. So let's give it the name. That's how you set a title. Okay, so that's how you set a title, and that's how you can set up a title, obviously. And I think that's about it for what you need to know going into Stickies for beginners. So I've been Chris. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Once again, it's a freeware download. You can get it off of the website, link in the description. And I'll see you guys in my future video content.